So we've now got our machine over our sample decking tray. This is a similar profile to one you're lifting. Our sample is around 5 meters long, and I think yours is around 7.5 meters long. So a couple of 2.5 meters longer than ours. So you're now ready to start using the machine. The first thing to do is to switch the machine on by pressing the switch here. Once I press it, you'll hear the pumps running and you hear a loud beeping noise. So I'll go quiet for a few seconds. Okay, so depending on the state of the machine, it may run like that for 10-15 seconds, but eventually everything will switch off and the green light will come on the front. And on the side, you'll see that the voltmeter is now starting to register the level of the battery, and it's sitting around about 12.5 to 13 volts, as I explained earlier. So this machine is now ready to use. To explain a little bit about the seals, because of the nature of the decking trays you've got, we have here some shaped seals. You'll see the pointed shape on the seal. It's the same on all 4 seals. And the idea is to get that pointed shape into the groove on the top of the decking tray. Okay, and there's an indication that's a spare seal. The idea is to get that into the groove under compression to get a vacuum seal. With the first tray that you lift, they may have to reposition the pads slightly. We'll set them up as best we can. But you can position the pads along the bar by undoing this screw here and sliding them across. And also we've got some guides here, and we'll show you how to use those. The idea is that on the first lift we'll adjust those guides, so for the second and subsequent lifts, as you lower the machine gently into position, the guides will locate the shaped seal into the groove. So we're just going to lower the machine down now. You'll notice that Neil's going around all the pads and just checking that they're located correctly and just adjusting the guides. Now, if you're familiar with using Clad boys on flat panels, obviously with a flat panel you can pretty much locate the suction pads where you want to, and the machine usually gets suction very easily. Please don't assume the same is here. The same is the case here. These seals have to be positioned very precisely to make sure that the seal shape is in the groove. So we've located the machine as best we think possible. The weight of the machine is down so that it's bearing on the suction pads. Yep.
Yep, good.
And we're going to now apply suction. Okay. So what happens, normally if you've got suction, this gauge will start moving. So that indicates we haven't got suction. So we're releasing the suction now, and we're going to check the pads again. This is a good indication of what you'll have to do with the first lift. Everything has got to be precise with these decking profiles.
Just come down a little bit more.
Okay,
yeah.
So we're going to give it another go now, and you'll see the difference. We'll do that again. I'm going to release suction. I'm going to apply suction now, and you'll see the gauge swing up. Okay, as soon as you see the gauge swing up through the red zone into the green zone, you know you've got suction. And you just got to wait for the green light to come on, and at that stage the green light corresponds with 0.6, which is the safe lifting vacuum. The machine will run, the pumps will run and usually take the vacuum up to -0.7 or thereabouts. And what happens as you lift in, you'll get a slight vacuum leak, and eventually the machine will get to a trigger point and the vacuum will pump back up again. But as long as the green light stays on, you don't see the red light and you don't hear the warning beeper, you can carry on lifting. So that's a good illustration for you. It's not a straightforward panel to lift. You have to be very precise with the positioning of the suction pads, and if it doesn't work at the first occasion, be patient, check all 4 pads, make sure they're located properly on the profile, and you may have to apply some pressure to those. The isolation valves, they're the final sort of stopgap. If you're still struggling, you can isolate 1 or more of the pads to concentrate getting suction on the good pads and work your way around the machine, but we'll talk about that in a moment or two. So now this panel is ready to lift. I'm just going to hoist it off the pack. Now you heard there the suction pumps coming on. Obviously there was a little bit of vacuum loss. It get down to a trigger point and the pumps came back on and topped up the vacuum. That's doing what it's supposed to do, and that will happen throughout the lifts, so don't panic about that. The final thing to do, depends on how you're operating. If you're lifting your packs of trays onto the roof and you're just using the clad boy to distribute them about the roof, and you're not lifting above waist height, you don't need to put the safety straps on. But if you're lifting from the ground, one by one up onto the roof, you have to apply the safety straps. They simply go around the profile, flip into position, and you can tension them. Okay, you don't want them too tight, you just need them tight enough to hold the load, but you can still get them in and out of the retaining clip. So you do that on both sides before you hoist this up onto the roof. Okay, so that will be now ready for you to lift up and place into position. So when you come to land this onto your steel structure, just let it run around. When you come to land this onto your steel structure, when you get close to where the position is, just release the suction pads, just pull the pin, pull the strap out of the way so it's not going to foul on the joint. Lower your panel into the desired position. And when it's safe to do so, just simply pull the pin, slide the lever, and release suction. Okay, and the clad boy is freed now to lift off the profile and take it down for your next lift. So just a few more words about the machine itself. You've heard the vacuum pumps kicking in as it's been topping up its vacuum. When the battery is fully charged, the battery is good enough to run a whole day, because the actual pumps are only running for a few seconds at a time, so the battery itself will last the whole working day. But don't forget it, put it on charge at night. And when you come to put it on charge, or when you finish with the machine, the best thing is to locate it back into the cradle and then put it on charge and switch it off. Don't charge it with the machine switched on. Just a few quick words about the profile, the decking profiles. We've got the luxury here of a nice flat concrete floor and a single profile that's been separated from the pack. When you receive your packs, chances are they'll be upside down and they'll be compressed. So you'll need to separate the individual trays themselves. If you try to lift the trays without separating them, you'll find you'll end up lifting 2 or 3 trays, and halfway up suddenly they'll release, the bottom 2 trays will drop off. It'll scare the living daylights out of you. So you need to separate the trays and actually put some blocks of wood underneath them so that they don't lock onto each other again. And if you're struggling to get suction, often the reason is because the ground's not level and the tray's twisted. So you need to get these trays flat and level so that you can locate all 4 suction pads and get suction on all of them. And I think that's pretty much all I've got to tell you about at the moment. Yeah, look after the suction pad seals, make sure they don't touch anything apart from the actual tray. And when you're not using the machine, don't place it on the ground, put it back in its cradle. If you do have an accident and tear one of the seals, there are some spare seals with the machine, and it is possible to change them. We do have a video showing you how to change seals, but look after these seals, because these are not the easy seals to change. When you do change them, like everything with a decking tray installation, you have to be very precise in positioning this shape here. But hopefully it won't come to that. When you start using the machine, if you need any more help, please call us and we can speak to you about this, or we can do a WhatsApp video call as well. Hope this is useful. Thank you.